Hello, it's season 3 again. Season.
Still.
We're back still. It's episode 4. We're back with the Inner Power podcast. Episode 4. So obviously we're again continuing our journey talking about mindset
and personal development.
Yeah, spiritual awareness.
And how to empower yourself on every level.
Yeah, brilliant. So today we're talking about confidence
and resilience.
Yeah, on the importance of that. So,
and how to raise from the ashes, how to rebuild your confidence and resilience.
Yeah, because I feel there's a bit of a confidence crisis at the moment. Just generally, I think coming out of pandemic, speaking to adults, speaking to children, mine's been knocked. We talked about this, and there's lots of things that have gone on that can affect this. So
obviously facing recession, that doesn't help.
Yeah, media, everything. So there's a lot of negative things that are going on that can really chip away, and we can get caught up in
negative self-talk.
Negative self-talk and all kinds of things. And before we know it, we're on a path to the dark side.
Downward spiral.
So quite excited to dive into subjects there, yeah?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to drop some tips.
We're gonna drop some tips. Let's hope you're gonna get as much from it as possible. So it's gonna help you to turn it around and head for your target, head for your goals. Because confidence and resilience is something what we build. We are not born with it. Okay, right. And we're all experiencing it, just at some point in our life, sometimes multiple times. So let's talk about what it is. What's confidence?
Yeah, what is confidence, and what do we mean by it then? All right. So I guess it's a confidence in ourself and our abilities of what we can
or can't do.
Or can't do, really, yeah. And just knowing that whatever something comes our way, that we can handle it. And often we've handled situations or whatever, and sometimes something might change where that we don't feel as confident in that area, any further. We might get the imposter syndrome.
I do believe, just in simple terms, confidence is just believing in your own abilities and your own value. So whatever you're bringing to the world has a meaning. Yeah. And we tend to, like I said a little bit earlier, confidence is something what we practice, right? It's like a muscle. It helps you when you practice that with reaffirming those positive statements. This self-talk need to be positive. Yeah. But we tend to, just belittle ourselves. So it's not like, because we also very often we compare ourselves to everybody else and how well we're doing without knowing what is going on in their personal life, and we take it personally. That can, if we don't have a strong belief in our own abilities, that can erode our trust in our abilities, right? And then the confidence goes down. But the thing is, you see, we are not in competition with anybody, right? And how we feel about ourselves is everything, because this will have an impact on how we perform at work, how we are with our friends, family. This inner belief and inner trust in our own value will have impact on every area of our life. Yeah. And so it's really important for us to build this positive outlook at ourselves, because it's not about what others think about us, it's about what we think about us. And very often, not always, we are the worst enemy, because what we think is just happening all the time. It's not like you have it in your working hours between 9 and 5. This is ongoing process. You have it first in the morning when you wake up, then during the working hours, and then when you come back home. And if this lingo you have going on in your head is not positive, it's gonna break you at some point. And I do believe this is it. The personal approach, or just how you view yourself and how you talk to yourself is something what can either build you or break you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes social media has got its, we're talking on social media now, so it's got its benefits, and it's same with anything really. I think it's easy to get caught up in thinking, oh, this is happening. Someone's doing that over there. We might start watching what someone else is doing. It catches our eye, and we think, oh my God, they're doing amazing. Like you said, it's someone else's story, and then we start to question ourselves. But you're only seeing it like a highlight. Like here now, you're watching, or let's say you're watching this on a video, or you're listening to it. It's only like a slight window of time into Matt and Angg and Matt, isn't it? So, and it might think, oh, these guys, and it is whatever it is. It's whatever you perceive it to be is what it is, basically. But it's got nothing to do with your life or where you're taking yourself, really. So what I'm getting at is we get caught up in stuff, and we think, oh, you don't need to be perfect. No one is perfect.
I've heard something very recently, and I agree with it. Oh gosh, I can't speak properly today. I can't
for you to
agree
say,
with it. You see, it's not about perfection, right?
Well, this is a good point, because I'll come back to that because I know I missed your flow up.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So perfection is the killer of progress, right? And I personally can raise both of my hands that because I like being perfect. Yeah. That quite often, especially more in the past than now, but I can still catch myself doing that now and then. I would not post something on social media to promote what I'm doing because in my own eyes it wasn't perfect, right? And that would mean that nobody would know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And you're a great coach. It's bonkers, isn't it?
So, well, again, this is your perception. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, but the thing is to see your opinion in this moment might means only this much. If I don't have that view about myself, this is not going to help me with this imposter syndrome, right? And I will still be, just rinsing and repeating the same pattern of, am I perfect? Is it good enough? And that will be eroding me even more. The longer you practice this kind of talk and self-analysis, negative self-analysis, the less productive you become, and you basically the downward spiral is becoming faster and faster and faster, right?
Or you're prolonging all you're doing is creating more pain for yourself. So it's a bit like if you cut yourself, right, and you don't tend to it, and it's got a bit of dirt, you get a slight infection there, and if you leave it, what's going to happen?
Oh, it's going to be infected even more.
Yeah, and then eventually you now got cut. You might have to, it could get to the point where it kills you, or you've got to have an amputation. So if we leave it, it's poisonous. If we don't do something about it, it is just so poisonous, and it harms ourselves. But if you're let's say it was your a loved one, right, and this has happened to them, and they leave it, and you're like, oh come on, change this. No, I'll leave it. It gets infected, but doesn't have an impact on the other person as well.
It does. When
their arms and legs fall off, and now they got to carry around this thing. But you know where I'm going with it. So
kind of will someone.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is in real life that's happened, I guess, or it has. But so when we don't take those steps forward, we are doing a lot of harm to ourselves without realizing it. And my coach, my martial arts instructor, Stephen, and a lot from my mindset has, been about the coaching he gave me. And he said sometimes, we got mummy love, but it's all cuddly, and then we got to have some tough love. And I think inevitably we have got to be a bit tough on ourselves, but not in a sense where we put ourselves down and say, do you know what, I am not having this story anymore. I just got to take a lip, and sometimes it is baby steps. Sometimes it takes a big punch in the face and a slap, and then getting up and a kick to the floor, and until we think, do you know what? This has now got to change. This has now got to change, because confidence is important, but it takes courage first. I truly believe you've got to have the courage to say, right, this is not working. I'm going to change it.
Well, sometimes,
or you can blame everyone else.
Well, you can play victim, but to be fair, I do believe that everybody has a level of threshold, the pain they can handle, and everybody at some point when they are experiencing something really challenging, they get to a point when they say enough is enough. Yeah. because they understand that the pain that they are experiencing is more painful than taking risk of coming out of the pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember when I did course training with Tony Robbins, he was talking about it, he was talking about imagining the worst case scenario in your head and seeing yourself being stuck in that situation and feeling the emotions you're feeling and getting to a point where you feel like this is enough, I don't want it anymore. So you have this energy to push you forward. So he was turning this energy that was building up, negative energy, into power to propel you forward. And sometimes we have to just look a little bit ahead and think, if I'm gonna stay in this place of feeling sorry for myself, playing a victim, just feeling like a whole world did this against me. If you can imagine yourself, let's say in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years time, whether this is business, relationship, whatnot, how you gonna feel if you're gonna stay in that position for this amount of time, and really seeing it yourself, being torn apart left, right, and center, mentally, physically, all that. You will feel such a strong emotion saying that, do you know what, I don't really want it, this is leading me to nowhere, I deserve better. Then this is the moment when you're gonna actually regain your power. You're gonna be able to move forward in a different direction that you might maybe not know what this direction gonna bring, but it's definitely gonna be much better than the one if you're gonna stay on the same track with not believing in yourself, just belittling yourself, playing the victim role, because we are all magnificent. And I strongly believe that we all hold power within us to withstand anything. From the spiritual point of view, I also believe that we would not experience things, it doesn't matter how hard they are, unless we had ability to overcome them. So if you're experiencing something, just learn from it, but don't allow it to consume you, and really, it's up to you. You can decide how much, how long, or how often you want to stay in such position, right? But you have free will and you have decision whether you want to be in that position or you want to change the position, right? And sometimes you have to be pushed against the wall to have a courage, right?
Well, it's a squeeze. From a spiritual point of view, it's a squeeze from the universe, angels, everything, that it's time to grow.
Yeah.
Like you've been stuck in a rut, and that's it. It was all right for a bit, but it's now time what do you do to get the last bit of toothpaste out?
Not squeeze it out.
You squeeze it out.
They can do a lot of different things.
Yeah, definitely.
Work with
so
the sink.
when the toothpaste, this is going to be a good analogy. When the toothpaste tube is full, right? Yeah. It's just easy.
Yeah.
There's not much, we can handle that squeeze, but the last bit, you got to you squeeze it out. But it's not to squeeze the last bit of confidence out, obviously.
No.
It just means it's a squeeze, and there's the pressure to try and get that last bit of toothpaste out without all the wet in it.
I sometimes think when you are really low and you're fighting your way back, it's like you still have this need, and you have this zest for life within you, and you're not ready to give up, know. And this is the moment when you are actually taking this risk and you're going forward, but the thing is, you see, uncertainty is such a beautiful place, even though it might make us feel fearful because we don't know what it's gonna bring. It gives us opportunity to mold it into whatever we want. And we can decide whether we want to mold it again into the same thing, just copy and paste, because we are creatures of habits. But also, when we experience something very strongly and we really know what we don't want, we have much bigger chance of creating something completely different, magnificent, fulfilling, making you happy. But to experience that, you have to give yourself permission to do it, right? And the pain can be a great teacher.
Yeah.
It is a great teacher. And in fact, all of us, we do experience that. I don't know anybody who didn't experience any hardships. Even when we're talking about confidence and resilience, so many magnificent people who are on top right now, super successful, like oozing with confidence, they have they still have moments of lacking confidence now and then, right? They just know how to work with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But they quite often, if not always, are coming from the place of total despair, where they had to take that leap of faith, courage in their backpack, and go for whatever it was they wanted, without belief, without having that belief just yet, and the confidence in going for it was growing. And now they got to the point where they are right now, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, Oprah, right? If everybody knows Oprah, right?
Oprah Winfrey, who's she?
Oh, exactly.
Oh, no.
So she, overcome massive, just adversity. Her background was very challenging. She was pregnant, when she was a teenager.
Poverty, abuse, discrimination.
Everything was possible, right? And then when she was working in TV, she was sacked. She was sacked at the age of 23, right?
Yeah.
But now she is one of the biggest speakers and motivational speakers, actually.
One of the most successful, influential, women. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And that diamond was created under pressure.
Yeah.
Right. So she overcame diversity, and she must have, this inner belief that she has some value and something to offer, and that she deserved more, right? But she's not the only person. There's so many people.
So that's from confidence. So obviously, I guess at the moment I don't think we're fully aware of where our confidence is, because we like to tell ourselves some mummy love stories, and we're not always it can be, it just hits us one day, and I mean, because I think there's a few symptoms for it. It could be your stress. Stress is going to knock it, definitely. If you're going through high levels of stress, because if you're going for high levels of stress, then it generally means something's happened or something's happening. It's pretty much the same thing. It could, whether it be work's not going the way you want it, or things at home aren't going the way you want it. You could be getting stress from or pressure. Stress on the pressure of work again, or a relative, friends, family, investor, clients, member, we'll say members because I'm here, clients or staff. These are all things that create the pressure, and they're all little things that can start to chip away. And again, like how we communicate to ourselves, self-talk. So if we're kind of experiencing some of these, then there's a chance our your confidence has probably been chipped or it's getting chipped. But it's okay, because you just be aware of it, and now obviously we give you these tools to step forward. And just like you said, with these people like Oprah, they've been through some incredibly tough hardships. I have myself, you have, so everybody has. I would say by this stage in life. And like I said, on media, it can look like the best of the best are just great and nothing ever bothers them. And I think I've even people comment to me, "Oh, it's all right for you because of blah blah blah," and I think, "Oh, if only you knew." But I haven't got time for all that rubbish. So it is just what it is. People get shocked when I say I'm quite a shy person, or I really used to be a shy person. I would struggle talking to a group of people. Whereas I've built that up. I've built that up through just dipping my toe in the water. Really. How did we learn to swim? We had to start somewhere. How do we learn to walk? Probably our confidence.
How many times you fall before
you
walk,
I can't remember,
right?
but I think sometimes they confidence. Confidence is a thing you grow, but also I think we're born with a lot. To be fair, because we don't have that. Like, there's a lot around us that can really take it from us without us even realizing it, isn't it?
So now we're talking about the brain development.
We're talking about brain development. Yeah. We're going to go on to a different subject altogether.
Well, with kids, okay, when kids are very little, so they are not bothered about opinions of the surroundings as such. They are living in their imaginary world. Everything is amazing. This is that stage when the broomstick is a real horse.
Yeah.
So they mix reality with the fantasy world, and they are happy. They are genuinely happy. They don't judge themselves. This self-judgment is something will be developed later in our life.
Yeah.
And if you're growing up in an environment which is highly judgmental, and I'm talking about, let's say, parents judge themselves, a lot, or judge others, kids will absorb this, just like a sponge.
Yeah, or you can just absorb it off the TV or sit. I always say it, just being in a shop. Just you pick up conversations. We all do it. We all sit and have a little listen. You have to be really careful because you don't know what's going in and don't know how it's can be just moving a tiny little wire in your brain over to something else.
Yeah.
If we hear too much, that's why I stopped watching depressed enders, because that really did not help life at all. Especially on Christmas Day. What's that all about? You'll only understand if you live in the UK.
Well, I think it's not only UK, but in reality, it's like it's not only the environment that we are exposed, to by choice or not choice. Also what we choose to watch, because all of that will have impact on us. We're observing anything, we're absorbing the information, and when you're watching like an inspirational video or listening to inspirational audio, you feel like you build up, you're stronger, you boost it, and it works exactly the same way, but opposite if you're listening to something negative, right? So if you want to rebuild your confidence or strengthen it again, just find something what makes you feel good. Listen to people who really lift your spirit. Just pick somebody who's got the right voice tone. You like, listening to them, and listen to them over and over and over, because you're gonna be absorbing those informations on a much deeper level than just consciously, right? And that will help you to rebuild. You believe in yourself, and you're gonna be nicer to yourself as well as to others, because the better you feel about yourself, the nicer you are to be with. And that is basically about everybody. I know how I feel like when I'm low. I'm observing, if someone is observing me, and I'm thinking the way, if they are looking at me some specific way, if this is judgmental way or not judgmental way, and this is happening only when you're feeling low, right? But when you're high, you don't see such things, because you're just beaming from inside out. And you have to understand that this power is coming from within. Is your perception, how you perceive things, is what's really important. And you have to start from changing perception of yourself. Really have to change that first, because that will have the biggest impact on everything, especially on confidence and resilience.
Well, definitely. So we've just come out of a pandemic, and I can see the effects that we all remain resilient through it. It's had devastating effects. We know about COVID, but I'm talking about mental health wise, how we feel emotionally, physically. I see it here, and I just from talking to people, and I think now 3 years ago we went into the first lockdown, and I think now we're starting to, they said there'd be a mental health pandemic. Well, I don't even think they realise just how much, because I definitely see it in kids, and I'm seeing it a lot in adults that we have coming through here. It's because our life got switched upside down. And even from my own perspective, there's things that we, at the academy we were teaching, and we got into a new way of comfortable, and then we've not done that same thing. So hang on, I need to get it back. And I found a bit. It's like, I need to put this back in. But I haven't done it for ages. But it's nothing new, because I had to do that at some point anyway. I mean, it's just funny how the brain ticks over. But resilience. I think we are resilient, and I think it's important. Yes, we've got to look at what we're saying to ourselves, and I think it's important to look back down the mountain, see how far you come, and understand what your strengths are. It's important to understand your weaknesses, but then you can do something about it. But if you focus on your strengths and what you're good at, they're going to have a knock-on effect to everything else. And it's just baby steps sometimes, and it takes that bit of courage, and getting a good support network as well. Getting the people that support, that encourage you to grow, and being encouraged to grow is still uncomfortable. But what would you prefer? Staying uncomfortable and feeling like this self-pity or whatever it is we're feeling inside our stomachs, or you got someone there saying, look, come on, we need to do this. And we've taken on coaches.
Oh, definitely.
It's tough. It's tough.
It is tough, because especially from my own experience, I might be a coach, but I still work with coaches. It helps me to improve myself. they help me to be accountable as well, because, you know, let's be honest, when you have to take responsibility for everything what is happening in your life, this is not necessarily the easiest task to do, right? But that's the only place for us to get to get strength to make things different, you know, to change them and change them permanently. Because sometimes, you know, we might be reactive instead of responding to situations, and it takes courage for you just to take a step back and observe situation from a different point of view, right? Not taking it personally. So then instead of reacting and acting as habitually, just changing the way, you know, of how you deal with the situation, to taking a step back and thinking, all right, okay, I'm stepping into familiar pattern. What do I do? And then you take a deep breath in, and then you think how I would like to respond, and then you respond, right? So that would change completely the pattern, but it takes the practice, and you have to have someone who will help you to change the pattern, because, you know, on your own, you're gonna be conscious of wanting to change the pattern for 5 minutes, and then most of the time, the remaining time, you're going to be operating on the familiar, which is the habitual behavior. But if you are trying to, or not trying, if you're going to, you know, change anything in your life that is going to improve you, whether this is the way of thinking or training, whatnot, it's better to work with someone who will help you to pinpoint it and create a strategy so you can move forward and you know what to expect step by step, and what to do when. And it's the same with training. When people are coming here, let's say I call them, they are green. They might not be green, but let's say they are green. They having idea that they want to change, and they are finding a place of training because this is the place where the training is happening. But they are also, what they are finding in this place, there is plenty of people who came to this place for the same reason, right? So this is their accountability group, right? And they are learning step by step, you know, just how to do certain things. They are being given tips, you know, how to stay on track. And they are also creating relationships with the people who are already members of this place. What makes them want to come even more? Because they are feeling like they are part of something bigger. So it's easier for them to change whatever they want to change because they are not on their own on their journey, right? So some people will like group setting. Some people will like more one-to-one approach. It doesn't matter which one you choose. If you are struggling in making changes, in building your confidence, whether this is body confidence, you know, confidence about how you view yourself, you know, just whatever it is, if you're struggling on your own, reach out, because there is plenty of people who will, they are there to offer you support. I do it personally. Matt do it, you know, just here at the academy as well as the online, you know, but it's not only us. There's plenty other people. So find someone who will resonate with you, and just give yourself permission, you know, just to invest in you so you can achieve the view of yourself you would like to achieve. You know, it's so much easier with someone.
I think as well, because it's got to touch a bit, it's going to bind in with the bit about perfection and what you just spoke about. You know, for confidence to grow, we just can't be scared to fail. Like, failure is when we just leave things, actually, and it builds up, and then it's a battle, and it can still be won. It can. It's just
that can lead to a massive depression as well.
Yeah, you know, and I've had the moments where it's, damn, that's been left too long now. So it's just harder work, and it's, you know, mentally more challenging. But don't be afraid to take those steps forward. That's the only way your confidence is going to grow. I mean, I'm referencing martial arts quite a bit, but my instructor always said you could be the best martial artist in the world. You could be the best instructor in the world. You'd be best at whatever it is you do in the world. But if you haven't got people in front of you, then what's it worth? So, you know, I've had to adapt and change into all the time, and sometimes I know it might annoy my staff a bit, but right, we got to try this because something's not working. So we have to change something and give it a go. A few months later, that's still not worked. So we have to change it again. So it does mean, you know, being versatile, being able to adapt and pivot, and eventually you're going to find the way that works for you. But it's uncomfortable anyway. If something's not working, it's uncomfortable. So you might as well change it and go through you're taking control of what is and what isn't comfortable for you then. And again, we talked about Oprah Winfrey. We all know J.K. Rowling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many times she was knocked down? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But faced so many setbacks. So many setbacks. I think even recently she's been dragged up in court because someone said she stole their idea. But before she got that first book published, there was a lot of setbacks there. I think she lived a bit of poverty, but she never gave up.
No, she never. No.
But these are people that we see, and sometimes we forget what's beneath the surface of what, we shouldn't really judge it on other people but what is successful for them might be successful for someone else anyway. But confidence is I'm going off on success now, but it's really about how we feel about ourselves. And you've made it this far and gone through whatever you had to go to, so straight away you've got to be proud. And you might have pressure through work or family or finance, the recession. Those things may be there, but it doesn't mean it's the end. And there's always a way. And sometimes it is just finding, I think sometimes you got to just look back down the mountain, see how far you come, and start making a plan and communicating to ourselves that what it is we want to do and where we're going with it. Sorry, I've seen someone, one of the young members go away, we walk past the window. What do you feel about that?
Well, definitely, I would also say that when you are experiencing fail, and I'm going to put the word fail in the bracket, do not think straight away, and many of us do, there is something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
We can pick and choose, and we are doing something, and let's say it's not working. If it's not working, then what we do, we can make another choice and we can pick again till we find the right solution, right fit for us, right?
Fail fast, fail forward,
exactly.
Fail often, right?
So something what works for you, for example, might not necessarily work for me, right? I'm a different person, you're a different person. What you do might be different to what I do, or it might be even similar, but you're gonna benefit from the thing that I'm not gonna be able to benefit because it's not the right fit for me. Does that mean that there is something wrong with me? Does that mean that I have to lose the confidence about myself? No, I just keep moving and searching for the right thing for me. And at some point, I will find that thing, right? So it's not, sometimes it's hard not to take things personally. But we have to understand that we are all people. We all have emotions, and we can learn how to work with those emotions, and we can always just raise again and just move forward. You can't be kicked so many times down, but it's, again, I'm going back to how you see yourself. You might have a pity moment, that's absolutely fine. You decide how long, how much, and how often. After that, just get up, brush it off, and move forward. And this is, I think, what resilience is about. Because it's not about, I think that was in the movie Rocky, right? It's not about
It's not about how hard you get hit.
Yes.
It's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. That's
exactly.
Win is done. We had that drummed
exactly.
into us.
So this is what resilience is.
Well, it is.
You might have so many moments where you're gonna cry and you're gonna be just pulling your hair out, but then again you just brush it off and you're like, okay, let's go again. And this is, we just keep coming back and keep coming back.
The greatest champions were defeated.
Oh yeah.
So it's part of it. Part of being it's part of your journey. It's part of your journey to growth and wherever you want to go.
And they look at the failure with completely different eyes. So it does not necessarily means what some people think it means. You know what I mean?
No, I think it's like in a lot of the networks I've been in, it is about fail fast, fail often.
It's a building block.
Yeah, fail forward.
It
is. It's a stepping stone to where you want to go. But obviously, it hurts us. We might go through some grief and experience emotions. Might feel like walking away or walking off, and and if we're in a state of depression, then worse. And if we are in a state of depression on a grief curve, if you check out the grief curve, it probably says like depression's not at the bottom, depression's on the way out. So when you're feeling that, you're on the way out. And I think that's quite important to understand, because all these things have a knock-on effect to everything we're doing. And you got to appreciate yourself. And when you fail, it doesn't take away what you're capable of, and it doesn't take away your worth. That's important. Otherwise, some of these, like Tyson Fury, wouldn't have made a comeback, would he? I think that's an incredible story. And even in the ring, he's made a comeback when he's looked like knocked out, and then he's sat up, ready to go and do some more. And more recently, Anthony Joshua, he lost his championship and had a rematch, lost again. He's just had a fight weekend and he's won. So, are they any different to us? No, they go through the same emotions. And like I said, it is part of the journey, because you can't just go. If you go through life undefeated, something's going to come along and it's going to really knock you off your perch, really. So we have to accept that this isn't going to work. Let's change it. This isn't going to work. All right, got it. Right, next thing, this, and it's always leveling up. And just because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it will necessarily work today, but it might work again tomorrow. And there's a lot of factors that go into so many of these things. But so what takeaways we got? So obviously confidence and resilience, they're two crucial traits that we need, and we can really cultivate that in ourselves. And just the way with positive thinking, maybe changing a slight routine, and getting ourselves surrounded by like-minded people.
Very important.
Yeah, and like-minded people sometimes are going to call you out a little bit. Been called out from my coaches a few times, and it's painful.
Well, actually, do you know what they do? They are highlighting to you the most used and familiar pattern for you that you have not spotted.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not personal,
No,
it's not like
not.
telling you are the bad person because you are doing this thing. It's just like, have you noticed that you're actually doing this thing that is actually stopping you from moving forward?
Yeah.
So they are helping you.
Yeah.
It's about making you aware, and I think awareness is a massive thing. But just taking one step at a time, and instead of belittling yourself, if you're finding hard, at least say to yourself, but you know what? But I'm trying, and at some point...
I think that's half the battle, because I got trained staff up, and I can see where they're trying. I can really, really see where they're trying.
I think you've got amazing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And they're not going to get it right all the time. Sometimes it's hard, and I've got to talk to them about stuff, but that's just the way it is. Some get it, some don't get it, some don't get it straight away, but get it eventually, and it's just part of it. So again, I think if we're willing to adapt, then we're there. And you can try it and it might be wrong, but at least you're bloody trying. At least you're giving that a go. If you don't do nothing, it's getting the same results. If you don't make a change, well, the same result's going to come. In fact, I think they get worse, because we start finding ways where we're not going to, like in some of the coaching groups I am, there's a lot about getting on camera and putting your message out there. So, and you can see on some people it's a really big, it's tough. I understand that. I teach 30 people in a class, 20, 30 people, and initially I don't think I had a problem going on the camera. It was more getting my head around the fact that there was no one there to talk to. There was, obviously, because someone's going to watch it, right? Especially in the early days of Facebook Live, you could see the people, like, oh, they're coming in. That's cool. I can start talking now. But that demographics changed. You just get on with it now. But it was strange going from talking to people where that you could see them engaging with you to talking like we are now, where I don't know how people are going to engage. I'll find out later when this is out, if someone makes a comment or doesn't make a comment, basically. So, and that's coming from successful business people that just want to take themselves to another level, and they really struggle with it. But if only they were just start, because we all know what we're talking about. If you know, if we're going to go on, I'm going off on again, but on that sense, if you know what you're talking about, then there's nothing stopping you going on a camera. I know if I listen to this back or I watch it back, I'm already thinking about what I'm saying. But I know that sometimes my speech isn't very clear, but I try my best to improve on it, basically. So, again, I just get on with it because I'm going to attract some people in or repel some people in. Doesn't matter, as long as this helps and it serves someone, because that is my role on this planet, is to help and serve and as many people as I can, and grow and evolve. And at the same time, it helps, you know, I'm growing and evolving because of it. So there you go.
Well, as a teacher, in the position of teacher, you are setting example. You have to lead by example. You know, there have to be something substantial, you know, behind the words.
Yeah.
You know, and people sometimes, you know, it's easy to say things, right? But observe people's actions.
Oh, actions speak so much louder. Yeah.
They speak louder than words. Yeah. Observe people who, because, you know, someone might give you just lots of good advice, and don't get me wrong, you know, sometimes that advice they're giving you is just uplifting your spirit, and that's a positive thing. But if you are aiming for any concrete results, look at their results. If the person you want to learn from, just see what results they are getting. Do they have the lifestyle, you know, do you aiming for, or do they have, I don't know, business you're aiming for, or, you know, experience in their field you want to learn from. You know, just see if there is, if what they are saying and what they are doing, there is a match to it, you know. And just learn from them as much as you can. And there's a lot of free content out there nowadays, you know, that will definitely help you to rebuild this or regain the strength and believe in yourself. And you have to just remember that you deserve it all. But the only person who is stopping you from achieving it is you.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
So, and I think we all have to say that to ourselves, you know. So this applies to me, applies to you, and applies to everybody.
Definitely.
You know, but you have to believe that you deserve it, and you are here for a reason.
And you do deserve it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You do deserve it. And something we didn't touch on is, you know, celebrate your little wins. So we talked about, you know, failing, but every tiny little win is another stepping stone forward, because it was pivotal in you improving on the confidence where you want to improve in your confidence. Like, again, I'll use the academy here. So someone comes for the first time, that is a win. Like, you've got the courage to come and find out.
First step is the hardest.
First step's always the hardest. Did your first week training, that's a win. You got through that. You've done you did your first few classes. You know, these are important things. But it could be your first, you know, going to a new job, or having your first week at the new job, because it's a bit daunting. It's a bit, I don't know. And you can only try it. Yeah, you're going to get it wrong. I spoke to someone here the other week, talking about, you know, delivering personal development. Oh, I don't know if I could do it the same as you. Well, you're right, you won't, because we're two different people. But just give it a go.
Yeah.
Just give it a go, and you'll say whatever you got to say, and it'll come out however it's got to come out. It's going to be perceived differently by you, and you'll find a way. That's just generally how we do it. I get it. And then when our voice doesn't come out, is we make a little joke like we did earlier. Words aren't coming out. So you've got to be able to adapt and change. Get that support network, and what you're saying to yourself is, you know, really important. I think we've come to the end, so I think that's it for today's episode. Would you say, Ange?
I would say yes.
Definitely. So thank you for listening. Hope it helped. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Inner Power podcast on one of the podcast platforms. And again, please drop a review and share it. If you feel this has helped, please share it. If you feel it would help with a friend or family member, same, because it was things like this it just helped me. So that's why we like putting this out, because again, we like to serve. So if you're interested in some life coaching, what they got to do?
just reach out.
Just reach out.
Reach out, whether this is me, Matt, or anybody else you're drawn to. Reach out. Take that first step, because this is the most important step. And you will be positively surprised, but this is your investment in you.
Yeah. We offer a free consultation anyway, so just, to find out if we can, you want to work with us or we want to work with you. No, I'm joking. It's just finding out a bit more if we can help. If we can't help you, we'll push you on to someone else anyway. So that sounded horrible, didn't it? Yeah, it sounded very negative. We'll direct you. Yeah, go away. We'll direct you to where you need to be. But the whole point is, any good coach will do that. So, but if it's life coaching,
you're lost for words.
I'm lost for words because it's been a long day. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. As you finish this up, I'm going to say goodbye before I say something stupid again. It's not going to stop me though.
No. So thank you very much for tuning in. We are looking forward to connect with you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.